Feast your eyes, my friends. We just hit the jackpot. So, the dev stream just happened. The 6th anniversary dev stream. Um, it was very lean. That's what we talked about on our commentary. Is how quite short, and the majority of it was actually talking to the content creators. But there was still a good amount of time dedicated to Mikkel and Soren talking about the game, and very specifically talking about season 5, which is the only thing we got. I think me and Tyler are actually quite happy that it's very focused on season 5. Just just focusing exactly on that. No Roadcore stuff even then. There's going to be another stream at some point in a couple of months, and we'll get more information on Roadcore then. But for now, focus on the very next thing, and that's season 5, and we've got a very fleshed out feature list. In fact, that's what you're looking at now. And I'm going to go through every point of this feature list and try and break it down as best I can. So still aiming to release season 5 in June. They don't have a hard date, but it's on track to still be released in that month. So no hiccups there either, and it's just a very good comprehensive list of good stuff coming in season 5. Gonna blow. Honestly, I think the last 3 seasons out of the water. Season 2 is the only thing that has any competition because that added new weapons. This is great. And I'm going to do my best to elaborate on every point here in a way that is constructive and useful. So let's get started. New theme. It is a prelude to Rogue Core. Now, this is something that we already knew, but as far as I know, it was kind of up in the air for a little bit. I heard something from somewhere. I can't really even say what it was. I don't remember. That wasn't 100% the case, but clearly it is. It's a prelude to Rogue Core. We still don't know what the things that the key visual indicators, the key narrative and thematic elements actually are in the physical sense. Like aside from Expedite, and we don't really know what Expedite looks like. So we don't know what the new theme is actually what effect that's going to have. But new theme entails new enemies tied to the theme, a new seasonal event, most likely as well. That's what we have to assume. And that's actually separate from the new enemies bullet point below this, which we'll get to in just a second. Although some of the enemies mentioned there could be themed enemies anyway. That's perfectly reasonable to expect. But yeah, new theme, that's obvious. But we do know that it is the prelude to Rogue Core, which is a really just nice confirmation. I think there was a weird amount of people who still suggest or entertain the possibility of rivals or rockpox, even in like the same sentence as them saying they wouldn't want that. Like, do you really think they were ever going to do that again? No, obviously not. Anyway, new mission type. This is the biggest thing, I would say, is we're getting a brand new mission type, finally. First time since season 1. There's new work to be done, and it involves searching. So they said a couple things about this on the stream. This mission type is much more in the vein of Mining Expedition than pretty much any other mission type, as far as we know. It's much more freeform, much less rigidly structured like Industrial Sabotage or Escort Duty. It's a very specific lesson that they learned from those 2 mission types, and the reason why they're actually not that popular is because they don't really play into the strengths of Deep Rock, which is having a freeform mission that actually takes advantage of the terrain and the ability to take your time. Where playing both styles, playing fast and playing slow, are both equally rewarding. We need a mission type that does that. And the impression that I got is that, especially with it saying that it involves searching, it is going to be very freeform, larger caves where you're going to be looking for things that you aren't really helped to find. There probably isn't going to be any kind of indicator on the map. You might be using some kind of equipment, maybe some kind of scanner to find Expedite or something like that. We don't really know. But I think this is actually definitely very much going to be a searching kind of thing. It's going to be like Mine Expedition, but with different things to find and in quite different terrain as well, I expect. Based on what they said, I don't think it's going to be a linear mission type. I think it's going to be like a big cave system, potentially. And you're looking for things that you don't know exactly where they are. Sort of like an egg hunt, but with a different type. It's sort of blending a lot of elements of like egg hunt and Mine Expedition, which is why I think it is going to be a spiritual reintroduction of the search and extract mission type, which is actually what was in the game before Egg Hunt, and it was basically Egg Hunt except with Mine Expedition. Egg Hunt with Morkite, basically, is what it was. And I think this is basically going to be a mixture of Egg Hunt and Mine Expedition, but with Expedite instead. That is my guess as to what this is really going to be. I think it might involve a like, maybe one piece of new equipment that we use to find the Expedite or mine it, or potentially. I'm not sure. Either way, I think it's going to be very freeform. It's going to be very simplistic, but still involve some key things that make it stand out, and that's exactly what we need from a new mission type at this point. That's really going to freshen up the game in a way that is valuable, in the way that the previous mission types that have been added weren't as much, aside from on-site refining. Then we've got new enemies, some mobile, some stationary, all of them keen to kill you. So we don't know exactly what this entails. This could entail some of the new themed enemies for the season itself, but it's also definitely involving new generic enemies, which is following up what Season 4 did in a way that I wouldn't expect. Neither the Stingtail nor the Spreader went down too well. The Spreader went down fine, and the Stingtail is kind of more of a joke than anything now. It's been nerfed, It's not really considered a threat or even a good enemy either. It's just kind of nothing. So I really want them to, put it together and put some new enemies in that really make a difference. I think the Glyphid Stalker is going to be one of those, and as I've been talking about it on the Discord, I think it's going to be one. But also getting some new stationary enemies as well is also kind of cool. I hope we get a flying enemy as well. Stalker, some kind of stationary enemy, and a flying enemy too. Now, the next biggest thing is new overclocks, as in our equipment for the season, our new equipment edition, one for every primary weapon, 12 in total. Now, how hard is that cap? We don't really know. Anyway, as I was saying, we don't really know how hard the cap of 12 is. It being one for only one for each primary weapon was kind of a reveal to us that came from a dev stream previously, a couple of months ago. And it was kind of hard to digest at first. It was like, is that too much, or is that too little? Was the question I think was being asked by me and Tyler. And I think it could be considered too little, but it's also going to be just enough when we contrast it with what else is coming in this season as well. A new overclock for every primary weapon is going to have a massive effect that people are going to be surprised by, I think. And it's especially going to benefit, I think, the Gen 1 and 2 primary weapons more so than anything else. And has been cracking away on these overclocks and been, as far as we know, a great job. And these are all ideas for overclocks that predate Survivor, which I think is interesting, actually. That means they've been in the can for a while, and we already knew that. They had some planned for Season 1, in fact. They just never found the time to make them. And this is kind of that coming around. So yeah, I still personally think we could see them going a bit over 12, especially hopefully for the Warthog. Think about it. Let's just take the Hurricane. Hurricane is 7 overclocks. It's going to be brought up to 8. The Warthog, if it only gets 1, it's going to be brought up from 5 to 6. It's only going to be brought up to the standard that most of the weapons have now, and that's just not going to be very impressive. When every other weapon's going to be 7 and 8, the Warthog's still going to be stuck at 6, and I think it deserves at least 2. So maybe we could get that. Maybe some other weapons, like I'd really like the Stubby is one that could maybe do with getting 2 as well. Maybe the M1000 as well. Weapons like that. I don't know. Still, new overclocks is massively exciting. We finally have it in writing. Mission type and overclocks and enemies, as far as at least the Glyphid Stalker, are kind of things that we all knew were coming. They were all like above 90% chance. Overclocks was actually 100%. That was straight up said a while ago. But yeah, it's finally in writing. It's really just good to see and to know what's coming, and that allows us to speculate. So I'm really happy, and I'm just excited to see what the things, the specifics of all of these things. Okay. New performance pass. A fresh new trio of cosmetics, credits, and crafting resources to earn, completely free of the waste. Yep, exactly what we expect. There's no mention of any kind of alterations. Me and Tyler are personally thinking that perhaps this season entails a slightly longer performance pass, or perhaps a slightly denser pool of unlockables. Just for the fact that it would have been a year since Season 4. I think there is some rationality there in having it be a bit more giving, I suppose, is the way to put it, but there's no surprises here. We get a new performance pass. I really do think that new daily challenges are in order. There will be at least one for the new mission type, but I'd like to see some more experimental daily challenges, especially with the addition of new enemies. Like, I'm a big fan of the idea of daily challenges that involve killing a certain amount of enemies, and playing into the new enemies of that would be really great. There's also this, and the final big feature that no one expected, I don't think, is the ability to replay old seasons. We're looking into a way to let players activate past seasons and play through them. Now, they're looking into this. They're still not sure exactly the direction they're going to take this or what the approach is going to be. And I think that's understandable because I think there's a really strong debate as to whether or not you should have it be like, you know, how full the conversion should be. You would assume it would essentially change your game version to whatever that was. And it's like, okay, what does that mean exactly? Is that going to entail all of the bugs that were present then as well? Everything that's been changed that should have been changed. It's really interesting. I'm kind of leaning to this towards more so being a different method for people to unlock previous season stuff. I don't think this is necessarily for people to go back to who've already done it. I think this is people who want to replay old seasons, who want to play old seasons for the first time. I personally think it's that, because that's where the debate comes in. Should it drop you in where you were in that season? And if you've already unlocked stuff from previous seasons through cargo crates and whatnot, they'll already be unlocked, you would assume. And how much does it actually play into your progress in the game? Is it are you going back in time, literally? It's very difficult to imagine exactly the direction they're going to take with this, and I think that's why they're not sure yet either. I personally, this is the only thing about this that I'm not 100% on board with. And I'll tell you why. I personally think they already have a perfectly valid way of doing this. I think the level of FOMO is just right. You can still earn everything that seasons bring. It's still there in the game. I understand why replaying all seasons could be valuable, but personally, that is not where I want them to be putting their effort. And the fact that they haven't figured it out yet, which means they're going to need to take time to figure out the methodology of this, does mean it's going to take a considerable amount of effort. And I personally don't agree with that. However, everything about this is great, so I'm not going to hold it against them. And speaking of things that are great, there are a few smaller things, smaller details. Sort of the list of key smaller additions, basically. There'll be loads more. I'm sure there'll be plenty of weapon balancing, particularly because of the new overclocks. More so because of that. Not just out the gate necessarily. It might be because of the effect that the new overclocks have on other weapons and whatnot. That's going to be some balancing required there. But plenty of miscellaneous changes and bug fixes, I'm sure. But aside from that, we've got some key smaller additions like new dance moves. The dwarves are learning, they're getting stronger, the hips are becoming more persuasive. So yeah, some more dance moves for the dance floor. When you turn on the jukebox, that's just nice. A little bit more variety there. It's the kind of thing I want them to sort of sprinkle in additions for, whenever they can. Not inherently on the regular rota, but it's the kind of thing that you sort of that shouldn't be left unattended forever. Same with cosmetic filtering. Keep your wardrobe better organized and use filters to sort your stuff by category. This is really, really good, especially for headgears where it's becoming overwhelming. The question is what's the category going to be? Is it going to be seasons or I don't know. I have no idea how they can do it. They mentioned randomization, how this plays into randomization, using the cosmetic randomize button in the wardrobe, and I think that sounds amazing. If I can actually have a parameters set for what it would randomize to, I really think there's a cool direction to take with the cosmetics in this game. So good stuff. We've been wanting a way to filter items for a while. It's good that they're getting to it. Just some game optimization stuff. So it's just basic. Same with the NVIDIA DLSS3 integration. So just frame rate and performance stuff. I don't really know how to elaborate on that. New DLC armor, a dazzling set of shiny armor that costs real life money. Got to keep the lights on somehow. It will be themed according to the season theme. So they don't really know what it's going to look like yet, but it will hopefully have a very distinct look to it. And obviously, it is a very specific detail of it being armor specifically. We know that already right off the bat, which is not usually a detail that we find out until we actually see the DLCs for the first time. So, just thanks for being so in advance on that. That's kind of interesting. I wouldn't expect that. But yeah, so this is all good stuff. Season 5 is looking like it's going to be great. It's not going above and beyond. I don't think it should. I think it should be treated as what is essentially the best form of a season that isn't necessarily a ridiculous amount of content, we know it's not going to be a year's worth of content. That's absurd to think it would be. This is what it should be, not too much, definitely not too little though, and also very wise choices in almost every category for what it's going to be. Obviously the specifics are yet to come, but we already know some things. Obviously we know about how the overclocks are for primary weapons. We know the mission type is going to be more freeform and akin to mining expedition. We know that one of the new enemies is most likely going to be the Stalker. We know that some of them are going to be stationary. All of this stuff is really great. And we'll be talking about it soon. I'm not sure we're going to record the podcast. I'm not sure when. It could be tomorrow. It could be on Saturday. I'm not sure. But either way, we're going to have a lot to say about this stuff. Season 5 is shaping up to be really, really great. Really well thought out and well put together. And that's what Deep Rock needs right now. It needs a big update that has been wisely thought out. And so far, that looks like exactly what it's going to be. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's everything we can say about Season 5 right now in terms of objective information. But of course, if you're interested in a more long-form discussion, look out for the next episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to stay on top of everything to do with Deep Rock and Rogue Core, then please make sure to click the bell as well. Thanks so much for watching. Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you very soon. In fact, I'll see you later today with a Mark 6 armor showcase. So, yeah, see you then. Bye-bye. Mwah.